Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk and I'm excited you're here for me today because we're going to do a little bit of talking. I get a lot of people that ask about the difference between wholesale and dollar store purchases and where can I buy things. And I thought that I'd share, y'all know I do a lot of crafting here. I'm coming at you with at least two videos a week, constantly selling stuff in a store. So I'm busy. And as much as a business, I can buy a lot of items wholesale, there are staples that I get, in fact, 12 of my favorite purchases that I make from the dollar store because I can't get them cheaper anywhere else. They're easy to get to, they're accessible, they're inexpensive, and I use them all the time. So there's almost never a time I go to the dollar store that I'm not buying at least 8 of these items. And I thought that I would share them with you so that you know these are worthwhile purchases. These are things that you should be stocked up on if you are into crafting and DIYing. So the first thing is glue. I use glue constantly in the shop for different crafts, different kinds of glue, you know, like just the Elmer's white glue. And I also use the clear glue. I use these for any of my paper crafts. I use them for, you know, mixing. You can decoupage with this, water it down, decoupage with it. You can water it down and use it on glass. You can, you know, add some color. You can do it on glass, do stained glass with it. I mean, it's just an amazing product. And so I have them in this and I also have it in the stick, right? So I keep this on hand. So these, along with the specialty glues like my wood glue and my E6000 and contact cements, these are staples. So these glues, and sometimes I can get good super glue as well from the dollar store. So glues, number one. So these 12 things are not in order. So just because I'm saying number one, it's just the first thing I'm talking about. Okay, second thing is ribbon and cord. So ribbon is super expensive. If you go to like Michael's or, you know, one of those art stores, you're paying like sometimes $15, $20 a roll. And when I just need a little bit and it needs to be simple and just for a little embellishment or to use as a tie, I am using dollar store ribbon. I am not spending that kind of money. So little laces for journaling or in scrapbooking and jute cording and just basic ribbons I have all over the place. Rope for doing rope wreaths or any other kind of wrapping around mason jars, jute rope. Dollar stores, guys, dollar stores. It gets too costly, too expensive, and especially if you're reselling. So I always do that. Same thing with wire products. So third item is wire. I love these thin wires. You've seen them. You've seen me use them often. I will use this because it cuts with scissors. I use them for tying off bows that I make with the ribbon. You know, long craft wire stems. These are like the floral stems, but I use these for all kinds of different projects. And then a lot of the jute wrapped wire as well. This is great for adding embellishments on jars and jugs and things like that. So wires of any kind, definitely I'm getting from the dollar store, because as soon as you go into Amazon or you go into the hardware store, prices are skyrocketing. Now, I do a lot of painted furniture. I do a lot of painted crafts. I use a lot of paintbrushes. And I have a lot of expensive specialty brushes here in the shop. I sell them, I use them. But there's a lot of crafting that I do that I don't want to use those expensive brushes. They're not necessary, or I'm using techniques that may potentially ruin or damage a really good brush, in which case I use dollar store brushes. And you probably see me, so I just bought more. But I mean, I've got a mess of them sitting out here that I've used. I mean, look, I've even taped it up because, hey, it's still good. I can still use it. So don't overlook these Artist Series artist brushes from the dollar store. I mean, this set of 5 is $3. This big fat one is $2. That's Canadian. But, you know, you can go to an art store and spend a lot more, but unless you're really doing really good watercolors and you're really into a particular medium and you need specialty brushes for that, then, you know, if I'm applying Mod Podge, I am not using a good brush, right? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so fifth thing are, and let's face it, dollar stores are fantastic for this, are wood cutouts. So whether you're doing, you know, the rectangular shapes and the bigger ones, or, you know, the little gift tags, or the heavier, thick plaques in a variety of shapes, or look, I picked this one up at Christmas. I haven't used it. It comes with a little stand, like a Christmas tree. You've got all of the different embellishment cutouts. These are like little pieces for games. I mean, you cannot beat this price. I cannot get these cheaper through wholesale, right? So the big wood rounds, anything like that, any of the wood cutouts, in whatever shape they happen to be, and there's such a variety of them, are an awesome deal. And they are definitely a necessity for crafting, right? Whether you just all of a sudden need a little shape to do a little bit of a sign on the side of a basket, or you're doing up some gift tags, or whatever you happen to do, you just want to have a mess of those babies on hand. All right, so to go along with my paintbrushes are canvases. And the dollar store now has great little canvases. So whether they are with the frames and you're using them as is, or you're taking them apart and using the canvas and the frame separately, you know, because I've done that. Or even they have the little canvas boards, right? Which then are going to be able to slip into existing frames and things. They are such a deal. And again, unless you are really doing artist quality work where you're going to spend like $40 to $100 on just a canvas, this is what you're doing. If you're doing crafts with your kids, this is what you're using. And really, they're awesome. They are great. So I love doing those, and especially when I am just playing with a technique or experimenting with a technique, I will use those. Why waste an expensive canvas when I'm just goofing around, right? So I can just use those guilt-free and have fun and relax over it, which is the main point. All right, number seven, scrapbooking paper. So I don't scrapbook. I do a little bit of a lot of different things. I use scrapbooking paper for all kinds of different paper crafts, whether I'm making gift cards and tags, I'm doing journaling, maybe I'm doing a scrapbooking page or two, maybe I'm making some other kind of craft, you know, I'm playing with origami, whatever I happen to be doing, you can't beat this price. You know, you get beautiful, beautiful pads of all kinds of different colors for like $4. You know, and then these little guys, like these little packages of awesome different elements where I don't need to be cutting up a big pack. I mean, $1.25. Come on. Why are you going and spending $1 or $2 per page somewhere else? Like, this is just awesome. So I almost always have tons of those on hand, tons, and I mean tons. Because if I'm doing a workshop with people and we need paper to decoupage on the side of birdhouses and things like that, I just pull out all of the pads and people get to pick whatever they want. Or for doing some junk journals, right? Tons of different papers and designs for them to be able to pick from. And I'm not cringing when they do something and they hate it and they throw it out. And it was like, you know, an expensive piece of paper. No, you know what? Have fun, go to it, experiment, play, like it, love it, whatever. I don't mind. So these are great, great buys, and you can't beat that price for that. Again, I can't buy those. I can't buy them wholesale cheaper from my suppliers. So, you know, perfect. The other thing that I love are the mats. Now, in particular, silicone mats. So I have this one. Look, I'm just picking the glue. I have it under my glue gun, and all the glue just drips onto it because my glue gun drips. I probably need a new glue gun, but it just picks right off. It just rolls right off. So these are fantastic for gluing. And in fact, I picked up a new one so that I can use it for other gluing, and I don't have any of the lumps or bumps from my heat gun, from my glue gun. The other mats that are worth picking up, like this cutting mat with an X-Acto knife and blades is only $4. Now I've got a big cutting mat, right, that I use, and I usually use that with the rotary cutter, and it's great for fabric, but sometimes you're just cutting little things, and you know what? $4 for this, you cannot beat it. When these first came out, you were buying these cutting mats at specialty stores, usually maybe at quilting stores, fabric stores, that kind of thing, and they were really expensive. So for me to be able to just cut the bejesus out of these things and then replace them down the road is awesome. That's just awesome. That's such a good find. Okay, wreath forms. Wreath forms are hellishly expensive if you are buying them in the specialty stores. But these wreath forms, right? Look at this rope one. It's got a wire center, the woven rope around it, $4. $4. And then these 3 styrofoam ones, right? $3.50. So I can do something tiered with this. I could use them all separately. And then you have all of your wire forms, and they come in such a variety of shapes. So these are just ones that I had on hand, right? So I've got all kinds of sizes of the round ones. I've got an egg-shaped one. Oop, there's another little baby one. These come in 2s for $1.50. I had a pumpkin-shaped one. They have tree ones. I mean, it's wire. It'll be okay. But I mean, wreath forms, you cannot beat the pricing on that. And especially if you're looking to try and sell your wreaths in a booth or at a craft show or something, you really want to keep your prices down as low as possible. I mean, you are not going to want to go into a store like Michael's and pay $15 to $20 for a wreath form when you can get it for a couple of dollars, exactly the same thing from the dollar store. And I do have a wholesale supplier where I will pick up some wreath forms, but even there, I only get them when they are different than I can get from the dollar store, because otherwise it's just not worth it, because it's still not cheaper, right? The other thing that I get for crafting are Jenga blocks, and I get them in both sizes, right? So I get like the little mini Jenga blocks, and I get what are still kind of mini Jenga blocks, but you know, they're this size. And I use these all the time. When I do a sign and I want it to stand upright, maybe I'm having to glue these onto the backing. If I'm trying to create, you know, like a shadow box, I'll glue a bunch of them together. They are just so awesome to have on hand. And for a couple of dollars, especially with the price of wood, if I can use something like this, then cutting down, you know, a little, you know, 1x2 or 1x1 piece of wood that I've had to buy from, you know, Home Depot or the hardware store. Awesome, awesome price. 2 more things. 1, moss. I am not going to go and spend a huge amount for moss. I use this as filler. I use it, I mean, when I'm making moss balls, obviously, but I use it in filler in different arrangements and things. And this can get unbelievably pricey if you're not buying it from the dollar store. And now they have like a sorted bag, so you get different kinds of mosses, and it's just perfect. So you don't have to worry about how much you're using or the expense of it when you're only paying a couple of bucks to start with. Otherwise, if you're buying this from the specialty stores, it's a crazy nuts price, and your arrangements just have escalated in price exponentially just because of that. The last item, I mean, I've already shown like the styrofoam wreath forms, but styrofoam of any shape. These are all balls, because I have the cones at home that I'm using for some felting crafts, but styrofoam. You know, again, picking these up for the dollar store, like all this pack is $1.25. If I'm going into a place, again, like Michael's, sorry Michael's, I seem to be trashing you. You have some wonderful products. These just aren't the ones I'm gonna buy from you. But anything like this, the Styrofoam, is perfect to have on hand for crafting, and one of those things I don't want to be having to race out at the last minute for, so I always keep them on hand because I always use them. I mean, the obvious thing with this is Christmas and snowmen, but I use these all the time for all kinds of other crafting. So those are my top 12 must-haves. I always have them on hand. I always restock every time I go to the dollar store. What did I miss? What are your favorites? Maybe you're gonna give me a heads up on some things I should be buying. So drop them into the comments and let others know what your top faves are, especially if they weren't in my top list. Y'all are crafters too, so let me know what you always buy. Thanks for tuning in today. Definitely check out the website for any of your decor and crafting needs, queenbeecreationshome.com, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.